Hello, you're watching Avenue X, and this is a complaint video on two dramas that I've kind of watched recently, and somehow they have very similar problems, although they're completely unrelated. And also, it's a general complaint about the type of rebirth dramas we have in Chinese dramaland, mostly based on web novels. First is an 爱奇艺 drama, 田耕记, Romance on the Farm, led by Tian Xinwei and Zheng Xunxi. Then the other one is Scent of Time, 未有暗香来, aired on Youku, led by Zhou Ye and Wang Xingyue. These two dramas actually aired back to back. On Youku, October the 13th, Scent of Time. On 爱奇艺, October the 14th, Romance on the Farm. I watched every episode of Romance on the Farm from minute 1 to the last. Scent of Time, I watched parts of it, not the whole thing. I know the beginning, know the end, know the rough outline of the story, and I cannot convince myself to continue watching most of it. As a drama reviewer and drama watcher, here are my complaints. Point number 1. This is a very, very boring thing that keeps getting adapted to dramaland. The particular genre of rebirth story in web novel land in China is very common. It's been there for a long time. Often it's 爽文. It's the type of thing you read to make yourself feel good. But when it gets adapted to screen, often it runs into the problem of self-canceling out all the effort it has built up because of the nature of rebirth stories. In a way, 宁安如梦 Kunning Palace, although I complain a lot about that drama, picked the more suitable way of doing it, which is it's actually somebody writing a story. It's a story within a story, which Wang Juan did with Joy of Life and started a trend of doing that so that it has no problem with censorship. Because that way, it's still an intact story in itself. It's just one more narrator, which you can totally just replace that with audiences themselves. It doesn't actually affect the logic and the validity of plot, love, hate, everything people have experienced and built up in the story. But when they resolve to Tian Gengji's version, where the rebirth story turns into a video game, or Scent of Time, it turns a 穿越 story of a contemporary person into a book, becoming a character, to the character actually lives in a reality that doesn't have the outside layer of contemporary world. They rebirth and they dream about their rebirth. You can see the similarity between these two dramas, that they basically set up a structure that cancels out all the effort they themselves build up to the moment when they review it's a game. Or they already tell you right from the beginning, but the main character needs to come out of the game, or the main character needs to wake up from the dream. And that's just a very stupid way of writing a story. If the audiences are having enough ability to empathize, sympathize with your characters, then with that, you're telling them in their face that all the time you've spent watching my story is now done and cancelled out. It doesn't count for anything. And that's a really good way to serve your customer, basically kicking them out of your shop after they've spent money. That's exactly the same thing, just in dramaland way of taking your money of subscription and kick you out at the end of the story. And overall, I want to complain basically about the lack of imagination of drama makers in China these days, that somehow they just all resolve to getting a web novel IP and adapt from it. And often it's not even a really good web novel IP. They don't really love the story they're doing, they just resolve to a type of manufacturing conveyor belt of drama making. Cast a couple of people who have fandom and popular, and then when the drama airs, if there's any complaint about it, let's just hire internet troops and trolls and to silence everybody. And somehow, as long as we can make money, it does not matter. It's all done through that type of logic and that kind of procedure, and it creates a lot of basically does not need to exist crappy stuff. Probably the only purpose it serves is like when they are actually making a drama, they need to hire local people, they need to hire basic level workers, and they need to buy food. That kind of helps the local economy wherever they're filming, which is 90% of the time 横店. Gives people jobs. I think that's the only point of those type of dramas existing. Other than that, they completely just pollute the content land of things. And you can argue, right, whether it matters. I'd say it actually matters. Because you have things first here, then it gets realized in the world. And polluting this part of human is actually really, really bad, and it can do a lot of damage, and the world uses this to control the mass, like we all know that, right? So that we can really argue that the actual profit that it generates in real world and jobs it creates and services it creates, is it really that valid in order to get that and do that you sacrifice this part all the things that you put out on internet that pollutes and that's in the background, that's very secret and pervasive, yet definitively lowering everybody's standards of things. Both dramas have problems that I actually have huge problems with. Apart from lack of imagination and using the very stupid and self-canceling setup of changing rebirth story into dream or game. That's just level 1. But these two dramas also have other things that on very basic storytelling level they have failed. For Romance on the Farm, it is focused on village people in ancient time setting, growing, harvesting, and daily life. And you'd think they'd put a lot of time filming and telling the story of growing and harvesting. Unfortunately, not that much. And when they do it, they don't do it right. They do it as a convenient plot device. They actually don't do justice to the hard work and the harvesting process. For example, it doesn't show seasonal changes very well, which is a huge thing in growing things. They have completely not making sense farming techniques and stuff that comes out as a result. For example, they can just randomly find wild grapes that look like has been cultivated for like hundreds of years, fruit grape. No natural wild fruit look like that, but does not matter because our main character needs to make wine, therefore they can get that much grape out of nowhere. They even find a cave in a mountain nobody has found before that has hot spring in it. So it has water and temperature to grow vegetables in winter. It just happens to be that that cave conveniently has a huge opening on top where sunlight can come in and fulfill the requirement of growing vegetable in a dark stone mountain cave that has hot spring, so that our main characters can sell vegetables in winter and win the competition for a very short while in the story against their competitor. When I see that plot come out, I'm like, my head is exploding. And it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to happen from a Chinese drama. The farmer DNA, like if you analyze human DNA, right? Chinese people will have the highest content of we just want to cultivate land. Even when we go on Mars, the first thing we'll ask is the soil farmable? It's one sin that's unforgivable for that drama. As for Scent of Time, the biggest problem with its setup is the original IP is an imperial story. You have emperors, princes, powerful aristocrats, and that's the power play and how it could work. In the drama version, they level down everybody. It's no longer the emperor who is ruling a kingdom. It's a very powerful business family who somehow is so powerful that they can actually get the princess of that kingdom to marry into them, which does not happen in ancient Chinese society, okay? Because businessmen are the lowest class people. Just that one setup no longer makes any sense. This powerful incense spice selling making family has so much power that the local magistrate and local county officials have to listen to whatever they say. So basically, they essentially are rebelling against the kingdom's ruling, and somehow they can still exist. You know, you see like how that does not make sense. So all the power plays that exist in that story, and every time when people are super serious, talking about this and that and playing it seriously, trying to make you believe in it, you cannot believe in it. So for Romance on the Farm, scientifically it does not work out like that on planet Earth. And then for Scent of Time, socially and power structure and historically, it does not work out that way either. I also absolutely don't like the fact that although no matter how hard they try to make the two female leads really active and I am the ruler of my own fate and I'm gonna change things, I'm gonna make it work, essentially thanks to powerful male that they can do what they want. Whether their sins are forgiven or whether their troubles get solved. And for Romance on the Farm, it's even worse because it's two layers. It's in-game and out-game. So out-game, the male lead is the owner of the game. That's just really great. Even weirder is that both drama ends in the exact same way. A person turns around, sees another person coming, and you see their expression changing, and it ends the story. For Romance on the Farm, it's the female lead going back to real life and in the game company turns around and sees, although the drama doesn't show you, you know it's Zhong Shunxi, the CEO of that game company, coming towards her. In Scent of Time, it's freezing on the male lead's face, knowing that the female lead is kind of there, but you know, they don't show you. I mean, like, did you two dramas have like what, a meeting? Sit down together and just discussed and decided to have the exact same way of ending a story. And it's like one of the worst way you can end the story, with an ugly shot that doesn't have any finesse of drama telling, like design or beauty, any of that. You just like have the main character like a freeze with the expression. Come on, we've seen these two people like throughout the whole drama 1,000 times already. We don't need another close-up on their face. The worst part, and they also both have sinned, and I have the biggest problem watching these two dramas, is the fact that justice doesn't get served at the end of the story. Justice being served, I think, is the basic requirement of a responsible storyteller's last bottom line. It does not mean good or main characters always have to win. They can lose. A lot of great stories are about the struggle of a main character against all the unfairness in the world or whatever. They lose at the end. But then their failure is epic. And the narrative clearly stands up for them, for their value, for their struggle. Even when they fail heroically. Unfortunately, for these two stories, it has the exact opposite, which is the people who have sinned and have done very wrong things don't get punished. And the story will try to cover it up and try to reason that that's actually the ideal result, which I cannot understand why that is okay for any storyteller to believe and put it out there. For Romance on the Farm, in this whole story, we have very, very bad family members of our female lead when she gets into the game. Her eldest uncle, that whole family, wow, pests and morally completely corrupted, despicable people. Her grandparents, particularly grandpa, who actually hides behind the nastiness of the grandma and is responsible for all the bad things that happen in their family. These people get zero, like what they deserve at the end. They end the story with Chinese New Year, everybody sit down, we're a whole family, let's 包饺子, let's eat dumplings. I was gobsmacked by that. Similar thing to Scent of Time, where our female lead, yeah, she did a lot of work, but it's all in her dream. In reality, none of that happened. The people she's wronged still suffered. And yet the drama forced people who have suffered to forgive her. Because she slept for 2 years and somehow that's enough. Or because she tried very hard in her dream and although none of them actually knows what happened, does not matter. Audiences know, right? We know. Therefore we forgive her. She's the female lead. She's pretty female lead. Therefore it's all fine. I just cannot forgive any storytellers holding that kind of attitude and writing a story like that and putting it out there and thinking it's okay. I know maybe other people have different views, but when I saw that happening on screen, I am blood boiling angry and feeling so wronged that I've spent my precious lifetime watching such a piece of garbage. And that's the biggest complaint I have for both dramas. And somehow they also just happen to have similar problems. So at the end of this video, if you haven't tried these two dramas, I wouldn't really suggest you trying them out. If you like any of the particular actors leading the drama, Tian Xiwei, Zheng Shunxi, or Wang Xingyue, Zhou Ye, they all have other dramas they've done, similar period dramas that are far better. And they all actually happened this year or like close to end of last year. You don't have to go back in time so much to comb through their older works. It wouldn't cause you this much pain, right? At least like the amount of pain I felt when I was watching these two dramas. I really want people put a stop to the whole adapting from web novel land, and no matter what it is, just grab and hold it and make it and not even think through whether those stories are worth telling, can be adapted to screen. If you have to change essential settings and then it just like destroys the original IP and might as well just not make it. Why do you have to make it? I just want somebody to put a stop to over-infestation of rebirth story that gets treated so poorly. And also, whatever force is behind the universe operating somehow just always cluster similar things and let them happen at the same time. I'm just saying, you're having too much fun with Chinese drama land. Maybe like pay attention to other things for a while and leave it alone for a bit. That should be the end of this complaint video about two dramas that I recently had the misfortune of coming across. Thank you for watching Off UX. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.